Hello everybody and welcome back to Watching Walford. I'm Ash, and now we're going to talk about the aftermath of Stephen Reid and why it's I don't know if it's supposed to be annoying or whether it's annoying just because it's taken such a weird form. But ultimately it's going to be a video talking about the aftermath of the Stephen Reid stuff. There's only been 1 or 2 episodes out as of yet, but we have been seeing some more unsavory things about the character, like since his death, and the angle that they've taken to defend it is quite bizarre. I'm not sure if it's due to the dramatic irony as we knew what Stephen did and how terrible a person he was, or whether it's like some nonsense about... I don't know. Essentially, obviously, so Stephen Reid is dead because Peter ran him over as he was holding a bottle to Jenny's head. It's seen that in the last couple of seconds he dropped it, but ultimately he still whacked Sarah over the head. He still held Sarah hostage. She was going to run away in David's car. Like, but now suddenly because Peter ran him down, now we're seeing a lot more different things head in. Like, now Peter is being questioned by the police because Sally is like, oh, well, you know, she said he'd kill him. And, you know, we have all the characters. We have Sally being like, well, you did say you would kill him, wouldn't you? And it's like, Sally, it's not his fault that Peter, like, Peter ran him over. Yes, Peter did kill Stephen. That's fine. But Peter did just have a bottle to someone's fucking neck. Like, it's unreasonable to be like, yeah, it's fine. It's all fine. Like, what? No. Then you have Gail, like, oh, well, I don't know, Peter. You didn't need to die. It's like, what do you mean? And obviously Audrey's in shock because her son is dead and she has a soft spot for him, so now she's gunning for Peter. Carla's not believing Peter that much. Like, it's just... I don't know. I think it's supposed to be a part of the nature because now we're supposed to believe that, like, oh, is Peter the villain because Peter killed a man? It's like, now we see a lot of other people taking up similar, like, ways of viewing the situation. Which I guess was more so around the time that Stephen died. The executive producer did a story talking about how there would be some like more interesting like villains coming through to this, and like you're saying, like in the aftermath of the Stephen death, it's gonna see that there's gonna be a lot more villains out. I think it's just villains in the terms of self-preservation type deal, where obviously Sally is like, I need Tim, so if I don't have Tim, fuck you, that's what. And, you know, if I don't have this, I'm just gonna cry, and then Gail's like, oh, well, you did kill him. Audrey's upset, and now D.S. Swain's like, did you actually try kill Stephen intentionally? And it's like, I don't know, man. It's kind of wild. Obviously, we know that. There we are. I found the thread. Aftermath of. Okay, never mind. We don't actually hear about it. That doesn't actually fucking tease the actual story. But we've just been hearing a lot more towards now. Peter's going to be made out to be a massive villain. And it's like, yeah, but lads, he conned 250k out the factory. He murdered 3 people. And proceeded to nearly to brain Sarah and nearly kill Jenny. Yet for some reason he's seen as this victim now. And it's one of the things I hate the most about soap. I don't really hate a lot about soap, but it's one of the things that really gets to me. So I hate it when things, basically, because we had that like one scene where Stephen was upset about, like, being undervalued and underappreciated. Because you had that one scene of him doing that. Now he's supposed to be a sympathetic villain. Because he just went, oh, no, nobody cared about me in Italy. I was just a nobody, but here I'll mean something. And it's like, yeah, but you murdered 3 people, man. You callously, coldly murdered 3 people. Just because you have one scene explaining how your life's been shit and this is the only way you need to do it, doesn't redeem the fact that you've been murdering people all the time you've been here. And you're gonna murder more people if they got in your way. Like, yes, Uncle Stephen is unfortunately dead, and I'm glad, because I never want to see the character again, and hopefully, and with good reason, we won't. But to see the angle that people are, like, sympathetic to Stephen was a massive wanker to everyone. He was a dickhead to everyone. But now people are doing lip service saying that, oh, you know, he was just tragic. He's not, though. He's not tragic. You can't just reframe the entire storyline, which has been going on for the last year and a bit, to say Stephen was a sympathetic character. Because we didn't see any of the sympathies over the last year and a bit. You know, we just saw some guy who was callously trying to reach his way to the top, doing whatever he could, whatever way he could, and he would kill anyone that got in his way. But, like, let's not act now like he's some fucking savant, because he was pathetic and he cried when talking to Jenny. Like, it's like me fucking smearing my shit on the wall and then being like, how'd you do it? And I'm like, yeah, but because I wanted your attention. Like, you're not just gonna cuddle me and go like, oh, it's okay, you've got it now. You go clean that shit up. You gotta fucking pay the consequences for what you've done. I'm not cleaning that mess. You get a brush. You get a fucking scrubber. You're cleaning that shit off. You know? Like, suddenly some fucking huge victim. Like, he didn't technically have the bottle to Jenny's throat in the last moment. But it's not like he didn't. It's not like he'd only had it in there for the last moment. It's not like he was still holding it to her throat about 2 minutes before, about 30 seconds before. But because he looked at his mum and dropped the bottle, then suddenly it's unreasonable force. I'm not even that big of a Peter character favourite like Stan. Like, I think the Peter Barlow character is just simply tired. And it's why it's good for him to leave, because ultimately they give him a big storyline just to do with his alcoholism, and then they usually just or an affair with Leanne, and then they just don't, and then he just does nothing and acts like Ken. He doesn't do that, of course, but you know, like, I'm sure he wants to do bigger and better things, or at least just have a break. But, like, I'm just fucking sick of it all being framed as, oh, Stephen's a victim here. He's not. He's not. And I'm sure that's I'm sure that's the feeling I'm supposed to feel. I'm sure it's a bit of outrage. And it's just like, for fuck's sake, lads. Please stop. Just please stop. Like, stop blaming like, obviously, Peter ran him down, but Peter saved Jenny's life. Stop acting like he's a malicious killer. Peter's never killed anybody in his life. Obviously, there was the rumors. It was suggested that he killed Tina, of course, but like, that's not his fault. But yeah, fucking hell, man. I love Coronation Street, and I love some of the stuff going on the show. But this Stephen stuff has just created a massive hole. And it's not like I hated the Stephen stuff. I thought it was the most campy rubbish. But now we're supposed to act like this was a big fantastical story. Like, you know, if people were like this about Richard Hillman, where it's like, oh fuck, he did that? Jesus. He was so nice. You know, like, it's a bit more believable. But Stephen was conning everybody. Like, just he wasn't a saint. It's not like he fucking died saving kids in a fire, but Peter pushed him back in. He had a bottle held to Jenny's throat for the last 20 minutes. And then in the one split second where he dropped the fucking bottle. Like, you know, he was clearly having a mental breakdown. He could have stabbed her at any point in time. But there we are. That's simply another video discussing the Stephen Reid stuff. If I do another one, which I probably don't, because I'm fucking sick of talking about it at this point, it'll likely be a general review of the Stephen Reid storyline. But I'll just do a long story short. It was garbage. It was funny. It was interesting. But it only really shows how far Corrie has fallen. And why we definitely need a new... we need a new executive producer or something. Because in the time where you had something as good as the acid attack stalker storyline, and my favorite thing being the Daisy, Ryan, Daniel, Bethany in the future storyline. Like, it's a really big... I don't know, it took up so much time, and for the payoff it got, I don't believe it's warranted this response. And that's why I dislike it. I feel bad for anybody if Coronation Street was the only soap you're watching this year. Because there's been some fun stuff, but, like, there's been a lot of bad stuff. And, like I said, I tend to not like being negative. God, my nose is really fucking itchy. I tend to avoid being negative, but ultimately this was just very bad. And I didn't like it, and I don't like the people deciding that Stephen's a big victim in all this when he was a fucking murderer. So at least I hope there's an interesting story about Peter fighting back and going, like, I saved everyone. I didn't kill him. I saved everyone else. It would be an interesting way to end the storyline and see Peter's exit. But yeah, there we are. That's my thoughts on the aftermath of Stephen Reid and all of the idiots in the village saying that Peter wanted to kill him. It just feels like incompetence, and I dislike it, and I think it's a weird angle to go. But there we are. Thank you for watching. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. Make sure to like the channel, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter /X at Watching Walford, Instagram at Watching Walford, and Twitch at Watching Walford. I'm trying to stream 2 nights a week on my Aqua Dreams channel on Twitch. I play Simpson Tit and Run and Solitaire. And yeah, so if you want to catch me over there in the weekdays. But yeah, tell us what you think in the comment section down below. Did you love the Stephen Reid stuff? Do you think it was campy nonsense? Tell me more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.